Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Dr. Claudia Albers, Planet X research and professional physicist. And today I'd like to bring to you another one of my articles. This one is entitled Planet X Object Observed in Front of the Sun Near Active Region. Now, a composite SDO image from August 8, 2018, where a large active region can be seen in the Sun's equatorial region, is shown here. This image appeared, and you can see the active region there. This image appeared in a Planet X News YouTube video, and close examination of the image reveals a circular outline in the coronal plasma within the active region. This circular outline suggests there is a large spherical object within the Sun's corona. The object is enveloped in coronal plasma, which seems to have conformed to its spherical surface. And you can just see the outline of what seems to be an object there. And if you look at this close-up of that active region, you can see that there's clearly a circular outline there, a perfect edge that seems to be above the rest of the light or the material that's emitting light in the Sun's corona. This is a perfectly circular outline here, which suggests that there is actually a spherical object in there, and that coronal plasma is conforming to its surface, and this coronal plasma is giving off light. Now, these objects, which are usually referred to as Planet X objects or stellar cores, have been extensively observed in the Sun's corona, but are usually seen in the corona at the Sun's side edge. Not many of these objects have been observed in front of the Sun, and here we can see why. The objects absorb plasma from the Sun and become enveloped in it, and thus will eventually emit the same light as the Sun's normal corona does, which is why they become difficult to see against the background of the Sun. And here you see two stellar cores in the Sun's corona. This is an SDO image in 171 angstroms. And you see a dark stellar core here. It's absorbing matter from the Sun, because you can see this root-like connection that's often seen occurring between these objects and the Sun, and through which matter is drawn from the Sun towards the object. So this is how they start to gain that plasma, coronal plasma. You can see there's another one here. You can see the circular outline, so that there's another object here, but this one is enveloped in coronal plasma already. So it may have, it's likely that it's been here for quite some time longer than this object, and therefore has had enough time to absorb enough of this coronal plasma it can get from the Sun, and thus create its own atmosphere, its own corona. Whilst this one has possibly not been here long, very likely, and it has just started the process, it will eventually gain enough coronal plasma to be enveloped in coronal plasma as well, and thus emit light as well. Now, stellar cores start out dark and thus not emitting any light in the Sun's corona, as I explained, but they make a plasma connection. You can see this one here making that plasma connection. You can see the outline of a spherical object in the Sun's corona. As I mentioned before, they're much easier to see at the Sun's edge than in front of the Sun. That's why we hardly ever actually catch them in front of the Sun. So these objects absorb matter and therefore energy from the Sun, as the matter from the Sun has much more energy within it in the form of photons than the objects have. Stellar cores are dead or energy depleted stars and planets, and therefore absorb energy from living celestial objects. And for more details, you may look at article 244 entitled Planet X System, Destroyer of Star Systems for more details. Eventually, these objects are able to emit light, from their newly acquired atmosphere and become difficult to differentiate from the sun's own corona. You can see this object has absorbed corona. It's not dark like the one in this image. This one definitely dark within the sun's corona. This one you can see the outline. We can see it's a separate object enveloped in coronal plasma, but it is not dark. Now here we see a striped object, a striped stellar core moving through the sun's corona. We know it's a stellar core because it's so close to the sun and there are no cataclysmic events, and these objects do not respond to gravity like normal objects because of their low energy. So these objects are able to come within the sun's corona without destroying themselves and the sun. So as you can see, this object is striped. The stripes are actually curved, which shows that they are following the contours of a spherical object. So we definitely have a spherical object here within the sun's corona. So this figure shows an image that should actually leave anyone who thinks that it is impossible for any object to be in the sun's corona in shock, as this is clearly a spherical object moving through the sun's corona. The stripes are curved and thus conform to the spherical contours of the object, as I mentioned. Now, as I have written in several previous articles, stellar cores absorb energy from the sun and at the same time provoke it into becoming more active, so that solar flare events in CMEs or coronal mass ejections become more likely to occur. This is the reason why these objects are often observed within CME material, as the very large stellar core we see here. You can see the outline, the perfectly circular outline indicating the presence of a spherical object. This one is so large, it's about the same size as the sun. The size of the sun is indicated by this white circle. This one is extremely large. It's not actually in the sun's inner corona because that will be behind the occulter. It's in the outer corona, and it is actually within CME material. This is a CME that is leaving the sun, and the object was seen actually moving away from the sun with the CME, and I've written several articles about it. But here I just want to show that there is an object here within CME material. So this is the reason why these objects are often observed within the CME material, because they actually provoke the sun into having CMEs. Now, a newly arrived stellar core at the sun's corona is even more likely to provoke such energetic events, as it will withdraw energy from the sun at a greater rate, in the same way that heat flows from a hot to a cold object at a much faster rate when the cold object is much colder than the hot object, rather than simply just colder. And here is an illustration of why these objects draw energy from the sun. Just as heat flows from a hot to a cold object, energy flows from the sun to a stellar core, because the sun still has a lot of energy within it. It generates energy. The stellar cores do not generate energy and are depleted. They basically dead planets and stars. Thus, more energy reaches the surface of the sun. So this connection is made between the two, and energy is drawn from the interior of the sun outwards towards the object. And that means that the surface of the sun, where the connection is being made, becomes hotter, more energetic, and therefore solar flares and CMEs are more likely to occur at this point where the connection is made. Now, since stellar cores seem to provoke the sun into increased activity, it is not surprising that we should find one of these objects above an active region on the sun's surface. And you may look at Article 2 of Interplanetary Climate Change, entitled Planet X Causes Solar Flares. In conclusion, a stellar core was observed in a composite STO image within an active region on the Sun, which is consistent with earlier findings that these objects provoke the Sun into increased activity due to their energy drawing ability. And this is Dr. Claudia Albers, Planet X physicist. Thank you for watching.